and welcome to the Gifted in Real Life podcast, where we interview individuals about their careers, entrepreneurship, and all things business related. I have a special guest today, Miss Brittany Wells. Brittany, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for coming. So, before we get started today, I'd like for you just to tell us a little bit about who you are and what your background is, like what industry you work in, and a little bit about what it is that you're doing right now.
Yes, absolutely. Well, my name is Brittany and I'm currently in graduate school. I will be graduating this year in September. I'm also in the healthcare field. As of now, I am doing my internship at Emory Hospital, where I'm currently in the oncology department. I work with different colleagues on different bases. As the sense, I've been communicating a lot with doctors and nurses. It's something that I've learned over time. It's definitely a different experience, just being behind the scenes at the hospital versus a patient's point of view where you see how everyone else is treated. When you're the one treating these patients now, it's definitely a different outlook working in a hospital. So I enjoy it a lot as of now.
Right. Wow. Well, that's really cool, Brittany. It's really interesting and it's really exciting to interview someone who is at more of the beginning stage of their career, because oftentimes I talk to people who may be on a second or a third career. And so I like to have a fresh perspective on how you see things playing out for you and just sort of the life lessons that you've learned so far along the way. So before we get into some of the deep stuff, I want to take you back to high school.
Mhm.
And so when you were in high school, maybe your junior or your senior year, and you were thinking about what you wanted to do in college, what did you have in mind for yourself at that time? And what actually happened?
So how it planned out in high school, I actually had conversations with my friends, especially senior year when we all got accepted into our schools. It was just something of what we wanted to do. My plan, I always saw myself in the medical field. I considered myself being a nurse because I always wanted to help people. And I felt like that was something that I would be really good at. So I always had it in my mind, nursing would be for me. And then when I got to college, that did change a lot, especially with biology and organic chemistry. But when I realized that nursing was not going to be the destination for me, I knew there were other ways that would allow me to help individuals. And as well as being in college, I developed this why when I was towards the end of my college experience, maybe my junior and senior year. Whenever I was taking classes, I always wanted to know why our society acted the way it does. Why is it such an issue with health insurance? Why is it such an issue in our healthcare system? And that is what made me go into majoring in sociology and minoring in psychology, because sociology gave me that reason of why. It kind of helped infuse my questioning of why. And then psychology, I always just wanted to quote unquote pick people's brains, and I just felt like I was a really good listener and people could easily talk to me. So, being a therapist, that's helpful for people. And then figuring out the why and what I can do to solve that why for sociology, that was also a way to help people. So I ended up graduating with a bachelor's in sociology, minoring in psychology. And with that, that's where I landed my first job at Family and Children's Services. That was not the plan at all, especially going in where I was thinking nursing is where I'm going to be. And then Family and Children's Services is where I ended up. But it was that sense of me helping people. It was very stressful. I will be honest. It was stressful and fast paced, but I was able to keep up with it because I knew the overall goal was ensuring safety of children, making sure families had resources as needed, and providing services as much as I possibly could. And it was, like I said, it was a difficult time and there were some hard cases and there were times where I couldn't be superwoman for my families, but it definitely taught me that there is a lot that goes on in our society that we don't know about. Working in Family and Children's Services taught me like the depths of what actually goes on. I thought Family and Children's Services was, a child is being abused, we go out there, see what's going on, and we move on from there. It's really every time something happens at a school, a statement that's made by a child, any small marks or bruises, it's very in depth as to what case managers and family and children's services actually do. And that actually taught me the benefit of time organization, communication verbally and written, and it helped me get to where I'm at now with my internship at Emory. It was a long journey to get here. You heard many no's. There were situations where I almost gave up, but throughout that trial of high school, college, family and children's services, it gave me all the steps I needed and all the traits and characteristics that helped me get into my internship now with Emory and helped me get through grad school as well.
Okay, so would you say that you were able to, were you still working in sort of your zone of gratification and zone of genius? And what I mean by that is you said that out of high school, you had an idea that you wanted to work in the medical field, you wanted to work in nursing. And even though you didn't do exactly that, would you say that you were still able to work in that first job in a way that you still got to pursue some of the things that you really love to help people with?
Yes, absolutely. Being in family and children's services, whenever I was able to accomplish all the tasks that I had with no issues whatsoever, it felt very gratifying. It felt very, I felt really good whenever families complimented me and thanked me for their help. It felt good to actually go through with what I said I wanted to go through and have a plan for the families to make sure everything gets better. So yes, absolutely.
Okay. And so how can you see, like, can you think of something in particular or a skill, an experience that you had in that first job that's helping you in what you're doing at Emory right now?
Absolutely. The confrontation, handling confrontation and being able to deliver bad news.
Mhm.
With working in family children services, no family wants a call saying, "Hey, this is Miss Wells from Family and Children Services." Nobody wants that call. Nobody wants family and children services showing up at their house. We're not the ideal person. There's a stereotype against family and children services already. So when you're trying to persuade people or let them know you're not fitting those stereotypes, it's very hard. So definitely, yes, being able to handle confrontation, deliver bad news, and also just understanding that sometimes you're not going to always win. Those are my main three.
Very good, very good. So when you think about your career so far and you think about all the goals and the plans and ambitions that you have, I want to shift gears for a minute and talk about, just some different bits and pieces of your journey. I happen to know that you worked with a coach.
Mhm.
And so I'd like for you to talk about that experience, like first you can say who your coach was and how how did that help you? And would you recommend it to your peers?
Yes, absolutely. So you were my coach, Miss Brim, Miss
I
Juanita Brim, and it helped me a lot because I will be honest, you caught me at a moment where I knew I was getting ready to graduate grad school. I knew that time was going to come regardless. And it was at the point where I was just I was impulsively applying for jobs. I was working my resume left and right. I was being discouraged every time I heard no, or the position has been filled, or you didn't fit the qualifications, when I went in there thinking that everything worked out for me. So you definitely came at a great time, and it was very beneficial because you gave me that confidence that I needed with myself. And you also helped me achieve my fear of criticism, because criticism was something that I was just always afraid of. When you viewed my resume and my LinkedIn profile, you gave me constructive criticism, which was very helpful because it was criticism that I needed to hear. They were changes that I needed to make in order to make myself more presentable, because I thought everything I was doing was correct. But as times change, the standards change as well when it comes to applying for jobs. So with you helping me build my LinkedIn profile, helping me understand what I needed to list as my job descriptions in my resume, how to make it look less crowded and make it more appealing for positions, that was very helpful as well. In addition, you also helped me branch out, because my thing was I was only applying to the big name corporations. And you helped me realize that sometimes you do have to start small to make your way up to the large corporations. And you also just have to look at it from a different perspective. Sometimes these small corporations offer larger salaries, they provide more experience for you. So that was something that was very helpful. And you made me think a lot about myself and figuring out exactly what I wanted to do and to make sure that this is what I wanted to do. And it wasn't just a step because I wanted to do the trend job that everybody else was doing as well.
Thank you for that, Brittany. I appreciate all those nice things that you said. But one thing that I always talk to people about is when you have a coach, that's only half of it. You have to do the work. Like whatever it is that you're being told is going to be a best practice or something in your best interest, like your assignments, you have to do it, because that's the part that I can't do for you. And so when as a coach, when you're working with someone who is willing to do the work, like my reward is seeing, them get the outcome that they wanted. So I want you to share with people a little bit about the opportunity that so one of the goals that you had was to do more networking. And so there were some things that we did and talked about, but the thing was you acted on it. And I want you to share a little bit. You don't have to be, you can be as specific as you want to, but within 7 days, just share what happened.
Within 7 days, just like landing my position or just learning how to network in
Just
general?
just the process of going through the steps that you were uncomfortable with that I asked you to do. Like, as far as, because like I said, one of the main things you wanted to do was network. And I gave you some strategies and you got an outcome because you implemented. So just share what some of those things are that you did.
So the things that I did for sure were reaching out first, doing my research on the companies and not just applying just because a position was available. One of the things that you definitely helped me out with a lot was making sure that when it was time to reach out, that I was saying the right things. I was making myself presentable, especially being on LinkedIn. You don't want to come off as robotic because recruiters are hearing the same thing over and over from everyone that messages them. So you definitely taught me exactly how to look for my position, who to look for, and how to contact them, and reaching out first in general. And that was very helpful for me because for some reason, I never wanted to reach out to people. I was always very closed off. So I expected to network just to fall in my lap. And it's one of those situations where networking does not fall in your lap. You have to take that initiative because people, they aren't necessarily looking for you. You got to present yourself out there as to why they need to start looking for you. And you help me with that, with just making sure that I'm not just emailing everybody who's listed. Find that specific person for that specific position that I want, see exactly what they can do for me, and then not even just what they can do for me, just be genuine about it. Look at some things that they've accomplished, see what things that you all have in common, some things that they can help you with or provide you additional information with. So that helped me a lot along the way, instead of just approaching it, hey, I'm looking for a job, you seem to work here, how can we connect from there?
Right. And so what ended up happening for you was you ended up following some steps, connected with somebody, a few people, but somebody in particular who was a decision maker. And not only did you connect with them, but you actually got to meet them. And not only did you get to meet them, what happened after that?
So that was actually a situation for another hospital here in Atlanta where I did connect with the girl. We had emailed her. We sent her the message the same time, and then they had a job fair, and she was the one who offered me the position. And I remember just seeing her name tag. I was like, I sent you a message. And she pulled out her laptop and she was able to see my message on LinkedIn. And it was just something that we were able, it was just something that we were able to connect with because you never realize how fast networking actually works for you. It could be right then and there they reach back to you, or somewhere down the line in my situation, we ended up meeting up at the job fair with the job opportunity.
Awesome. That's so awesome. That's so awesome because a lot of people use LinkedIn. A lot of people know some of these strategies, but again, there's a difference in knowing to do something or being told to do something and actually doing it. And I can also say, Brittany, I can just see the boost in your confidence.
Yeah.
I can just see that. So I have a question for you. Do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
Definitely starting off, I'm definitely an introvert. It takes me a while to get to that extrovert phase. I have to be very comfortable with you, but I know just when it comes to certain situations, the introvert stage is not going to get me anywhere. It's going to keep me exactly where I'm at. And I think that extrovert part comes out when I'm tired of being in the same position. When if you're not tired enough being in the same position that you're in, then you're really not going to get anywhere. You can't expect changes if you're not officially tired and you don't, because you have to be tired to make the change. If you're not tired, then you're not making changes and changes aren't going to come to you.
That's right. That's right. Again, it's about what you do, the
Mhm.
steps and the actions that you take. So I wanted to also talk about, so I know that you're in a season of your life where you want to get experience in your industry and you're exploring different skill sets that you have or that you can gain while you're in a position. What if you, when you are at the point where you're ready to sort of break away and do something on your own, what are some things that you would consider pursuing? And what approach do you have in mind for doing that?
Honestly, if it came time to me branching out on my own, if it was well, it can be possible. If it did come to that point, I feel like coaching and motivational speaking, that would help a lot because I know there's a lot of people who have been in my position. I know there is a lot of people who felt the same way that I felt, especially with how jobs are going now when it comes to searching, layoffs, you're not hearing anything. If you do hear something, it's not the answer that you want. So those are things that I would really like to get into is coaching and motivational speaking because I feel like everyone needs that push because everyone's been there at one point where they're just impulsively applying for jobs. They don't know where else to turn. They feel like life is too short. They have a deadline on age or how much experience they're supposed to have. So those are two things I would like to touch on as much as possible to help not even just people younger than me, but people my age as well, because there's no age limit on it. There's a lot of people at all ages who are either starting over or changing a new direction and they just need that extra boost and help.
So on that note, what generation would you say you are, Brittany? Like Gen X? I mean Gen Z?
I
I'm
think they
sorry.
consider, since I'm 95, I think I'm considered a millennial, but I do have Generation Z tendencies. I will say that for sure.
Okay, so my first question is sort of tell me what the difference in those two are. And then tell me about the kind of conversations that people in your circle are having right now when it comes to, being able to earn a living, whether they are an entrepreneur or they're in a career. What kind of conversations are you guys having? And again, what do those profiles look like? Millennial versus Gen Z for you?
So as a millennial, I will say, kind of summarizing it, we're the ones who basically listened to our parents and the adults before us, where we were told school, K through 12, go to college. Once you graduate, all doors will be open. And, we took it, we listened to it, K through 12, college graduation. We're looking for the doors to be open, but they're not open. So I feel like most of us in that generation, specifically me, we follow the rules, the book that was outlined for us as to get to where we need to get as of right now, and we wouldn't struggle. Nobody talks about, the side notes. You have the outline of the book, but it's really like the side notes that you have to look at. That's going to give you the answers that you need. So as a millennial, it was, okay, I graduated college. Why aren't the jobs just, right here at my door? Why am I knocking? I have the bachelor's. I went to school, like you all said. My resume is outlined this way. Nothing is happening. Now I'm lost and confused because there's no rule to tell me. There's no guideline of, okay, well, if this job doesn't open, go to this one. Or if that job isn't open, do this, do that. So now you feel lost because you have to create your own outline. Basically, you're writing your own book instead of getting the answers from the book that was provided to you. So that's how it feels as a millennial. Again, K through 12, college graduation, you land your career job, you get married, American dream, white picket fence. That's what we were painted. Generation Z is like, well, we seen what the millennials went through. We're not doing that. We know for a fact that didn't work out for the generation before the millennials. It didn't work out for the millennials. It's not going to work out for me. So I need to figure out what I need to do. I'm not going to make those same mistakes. And as a millennial, when I say I have Generation Z tendencies, that's where it comes in for me. I'm not making the same mistakes again. I learned from them. Now I need to know how to finesse. And I'll be honest, Generation Z definitely knows how to finesse. They're not playing by the rule books at all. They're creating their own rules. They're letting, job corporations know exactly what they want. They're forming those boundaries. Whereas me as a millennial, we're people pleasing to get where we need to. And Generation Z is like, well, you know what? I don't want to move up the charts. I don't want to move up the status or the hierarchy at the job. I don't want all that responsibility. I want to be where I'm comfortable and have a large salary. And I'm the same way too. At one point it came to realization. I was talking with my friends and we were all like, the overall goal was to be the CEO or the COO or the owner of a company. But it's like, you don't want all that responsibility. I don't want the baggage. I don't want the stress. I don't want the headaches. I don't want to constantly worry and send myself to an early grave. I want to be comfortable, enjoy what I'm doing, but still make money at the same time. And that's a conversation that my friends and I were constantly having, because we've reached that age. We're about to be 30. So, we're already approaching the American dream aspect that should have been accomplished already with being married, having kids, the house, the white picket fence. We're supposed to be 6-7 years into our career job. We're supposed to be up in the hierarchy of our corporations and whatnot, but we're not there because we're figuring it out because, we went by that rule book that our parents told us we needed to do. We saw it work for them, but it's not working for us. And as we can see, society has changed, the economy has changed, so it's not working that way. And we've all kind of just started looking at it like, you know what, I don't want to be a supervisor or, I don't want to be a manager. Like, for example, one of my friends, she's a project manager. She says she has no issue with being a senior project manager. She does not want to be a supervisor over project managers. She doesn't want any of that responsibility. She is fine with being a senior manager, but she knows that she can be paid a higher worth because of what she's accomplished and what experience that she does have. And again, we've just reached that point where the hierarchy is, even though, yes, you have a higher salary, that salary, what's the point of having that salary if you have all this additional stress and responsibility and you're not able to enjoy it? We've come to the point where we want our career, we want it to be as stress-free as possible, or at least a balance within work life and regular life, and still be able to enjoy our lives, be able to buy the houses that we can or buy the cars we can and go on vacation. We're realizing that we're getting to that age. And honestly, I can't speak for all millennials, but I am tired. I really am. Again, we were taught K through 12 in school, and it wasn't until maybe my junior year of college I realized I am completely drained. I have been in school my entire life, no breaks, no semester breaks. I didn't take a break from college. In high school, I went straight to college after high school, like graduated May 2013, was at West Georgia August 2013. There was no break whatsoever. So now you just want that time to yourself and want that time of being free and enjoying your career and having fun with it. And I think that's what Generation Z is doing. And if they don't like it, they have no issue with leaving versus millennials, we're learning to leave, because we were taught job hopping doesn't look good on resumes. Generation Z does not care about that at all. If they don't like it, they're
I
going to
love
leave.
it.
And I applaud them for that every chance that I get.
All right. Well, you said a lot there, Brittany. So, in all that you said, and I agree with you, I think that um, some things are passe, like being sold that bill of goods that, the way to financial freedom is to go to school, get a good job, and all of those things. And a lot of us have realized that that was just programming, and it's not really the way to do it. So for you, what do you think is the quickest way to get to this new outcome then? What do you think is the quickest way to get to being able to earn the kind of money you want to and having the time freedom to take a break and go on vacation and all of those things that you mentioned?
I honestly think at the end of the day, it's all about experience and how your experience at no matter what job you're at can get you to your dream job and how you can take all those traits and experience and characteristics that you got from your previous jobs and interpret into your career. That and I've just from what I've been seeing a lot, yes, degrees do still do very much matter, but certifications are starting to play a large role in situations as well because you're getting experiences to earn those certifications. So I really think it's more of, you know, still going the school route, but not being so dependent on it and gaining experience and networking. Cause now we've reached that point where it's not necessarily what you know, it's who you know and how you can show and display that you're a perfect fit for this job instead of just relying on the credentials of your education solely. You need more than that now.
Right, right. All right. So then, this brings me to what you've said, brings me to another question though. So as somebody who has been consistently working since you, or going to school since you graduated from high school, how do you find balance? How do you take some time for yourself to recharge?
Honestly, it took I had to myself get tired for me to finally take that balance because at first I thought I was able to do it. There was one point where I was in grad school, I was taking two classes, I was still in family children services, and I also landed another full-time job. So it was two full-time jobs, full-time in grad school, and somehow learning to balance a social life. And even though I was still at family children services, I was in the process of leaving, but it was just still a lot. And it took me to finally be tired. It took me to finally say, I'm tired. I can't do this. I don't want, my life to be missed out because of school, work, and, just constantly dragging my feet and always wanting to sleep. That, and I would be honest, I'll say COVID as well, just because it was that point of time where we were scared. We didn't know exactly what we were going to do. We weren't able to go outside. People were losing their lives. And I had sat down with myself at one point and I was like, if something was to happen with me and I got COVID and I didn't have the best outcome, would I have been satisfied with the life that I lived up until this point? And I told myself, no, I wouldn't.
Oh, wow, that's big. And it's important to reflect on stuff like that and to not just reflect, but come up with a plan and do it while you have the time, while you have the time. So, all right. So as you consider your future, like I said, as you consider your future, what are some things, tell me something that you're looking forward to being able to accomplish or do, whether it's in your personal life, professional, what are you looking forward to for your future?
For my future, I'm really just looking forward to, just seeing how it will turn out. I spend so much of my life constantly debating, if I make a left turn, will that get me where I need to be? Or do I need to make a right turn and will that bring me back? I'm constantly, you know, I was always wishing for a crystal ball to see what my future looked like. And now I'm just really excited to see where it takes me and kind of just go with the flow instead of like I'll still put in the effort to make sure I get my future, but I won't stress every little detail to accomplish that future. So overall, I am very much looking forward to furthering my career, in healthcare in the medical field. I'm definitely looking forward to just making a difference in, finding people that I can help out as well because even though I've accomplished my goals, I know there are still people out there who want to accomplish theirs. And again, it goes back to me always wanting to help people. That's always been my go-to thing. Okay, I got the medical and healthcare part down. Now I can still accomplish helping people on a side, on a regular basis with regular stuff.
Right. And that's the saying, if you want to get what you want, if you want to accomplish a big goal, the quickest way to do that is to help enough people accomplish their goal.
Mhm.
So, okay. So as we round out our interview here, Brittany, I want to ask you, tell me something about yourself, something that's sort of maybe playful or
Mhm.
whimsical that people may not know about you. The people who know you might be surprised to know.
Um, oh God. I would definitely say, acting has been one of my things. It's not something I would take professional, but I was definitely in drama club all 4 years. So I'm really big on, even though I am an introvert, when I get out there, I'm very big on acting on the spot. I'm very big on just, I don't like, I feel like I'm an extrovert at heart, and it just takes a minute for it to come out. But I can be really not saying wild, but it can really just be to the point where you're like, Brittany, that's you? Like, I ain't never seen this before.
Wow. All right. And so if you could give any advice to an 18-year-old out there who may have visions of pursuing their dream, whatever the career goal is, what wisdom have you gained that you would want to impart on them about staying focused on that goal? And it could be maybe they do want to go into a profession that requires more of a formal education, or they do want to step out and become an entrepreneur and build wealth that way. What advice would you share with them based on your experience?
Based on my experience, I would say listen to yourself. There's nothing wrong with asking for advice from different people, but don't let their advice determine your whole situation. So if someone says, oh, well, you strictly need to go to school for this, yes, you can take that into consideration, but don't let that shape your entire outcome if you know for sure that's not what you want to do. So listen to yourself. Have a sit down with yourself, take some moment and figure out exactly what you want to do. Make sure this is exactly what you want to do and that it's not a phase where you feel like you'll get tired of it along the line. And even if you do get tired of it, just make sure you have a plan B through Z. You got plan A down, make sure you have plan B through Z and network, network. You have to get out there and you have to talk to people. I understand it can be nerve-wracking, but a lot of times, especially in college and through high school, I wish I would have talked more to people. I wish I would have focused more on identifying what my overall goal was instead of just, oh, I'm just trying to graduate. because when you get that tunnel vision of I'm just trying to graduate, you're not focused on anything else. You miss out on social life. You miss out on, big networks that you make when you're out at those social gatherings. So, just figure out exactly what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with asking for advice. Don't let it shape your entire outcome or your future, and have fun. Do not forget to have fun, because you only have this life once, and you don't want to look back on, man, I should have did this, I should have did that, and now you're at the age where you need to start doing this, but you don't know exactly how to go about it because you didn't know how to do it in the beginning.
Well said. Well said. And on that note, Miss Brittany, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
I look forward to following your journey and seeing how I can help you in any way, and just seeing what God has in store for you.
Same. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right.